Good morning. It's time for Undisputed. It's time for us to do what we do every single weekday morning here on Fox Sports 1. And that is to delve into and debate the hottest sports issues of the day as you do with your friends and relatives. And we hope you're watching today from home. It is time for me to introduce my debate partner. You probably know him. His name is Shannon Sharp. You probably know he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You probably know by now he's up in his palatial estate up in Bel Air, while I am way down here in the flats in what's called West Los Angeles. I'm about a 2-minute drive from the Fox studios, and that's where Shannon and I hope to be back in studio sooner than later. But today, we're the home edition of Undisputed, and today I say hello to, once again, Shannon Sharp.
Hey, Skip, how you doing today?
Probably good, better Skip. Than you, because I love... Do you feel real good? Because I love what we're about to get into, because some of our topics today over the next 2 hours are going to be this guy, I forget what his name is. He wore number 23 originally, and he just got voted the greatest college basketball player ever, as well as we already know, he's the GOAT of all time in the NBA. We're also going to be talking about, and Shannon's going to love this one, LeBron allegedly improving his free throw shooting, and it's about damn time he did that, as LeBron once said after he won his first ring. We're also, and I cannot wait for this one, we are going to talk about Terrell Owens being chosen as the best player ever to wear number 81, that he will always represent, according to The Athletic, the number 81 in the National Football League. I got a big problem with that, and I got an even bigger problem with LeVar Ball actually making it even harder on his oldest son to be a success in New Orleans. So LeVar almost ruined him in LA and now in New Orleans. I cannot wait to get into that. But right now, Mr. Sharp, I can't wait to get into our first topic, which is the NFL owners, as predicted, have approved expanded playoffs in EuroLeague, the National Football League, up to 14 playoff teams now with one extra wild card in each conference. You're going to give that a thumbs up or a thumbs down, Mr. Sharp?
Skip, I get it. And I don't even really understand why the owners voted, because you knew they were going to basically approve this unanimously. Skip, the thing that made the NFL playoffs so unique and so elite is that 50% of your teams did not make the playoffs, like they do in basketball, like they do in hockey. Skip, the thing that makes something sacred is the scarcity of it. If you notice, we're dealing with this COVID-19. If you notice, people are buying up toilet paper and paper towels. Why? Because it's scarce. Things that there's abundance of, they're not wiping that up. Well, NFL playoff spots, there was scarcity. There were only 6 on one conference, 6 on the other. Basically, you had to play your way in. Now there's extra. Now I understand why you like it, because it increases the opportunity of your Cowboys making the playoffs. That's why you love it. But Skip, you know, when there's only 6 spots that are available and there are 16 teams per conference, every game matters. Skip, teams didn't play well. Now there's only one bye week, so we got to play extra hard. Skip, teams were playing hard because they wanted those byes. The first and second seed, they wanted those byes. But they were also playing hard, Skip, because they knew there's only 6 spots. Skip, there's a reason. Skip, I love American-made cars, but they mass produce them. That's why they don't cost as much as a Ferrari. Now, the Ford GT, the 40, it cost as much as a Ferrari. Why? Because they didn't mass produce it, because there wasn't an abundance of them. Anything there's an abundance of, Skip, who wants that? Skip, what makes us unique as humans? We want what everybody can't have. It doesn't matter. That's what we want. In the playoffs, it was special. Eventually, you know what's going to happen, Skip. It's 7 now. Next CBA, it'll be 8. And eventually, it'll be basically you have 10 teams per conference going to the playoffs, because the owners can't help themselves. They're never going to pass up an opportunity to get an extra buck. Skip, I get it. Skip, the money's there. You got to try to find new revenue streams. But I just wish they hadn't have gone this route. There's other ways you can generate revenue. Maybe you have to take more games overseas. Maybe you have to come up with new digital services. But Skip, another playoff, and Skip, for the first time, I wanted to hear what some of the other. Started reading about now teams are going to play harder. Skip, are you going to play harder because you know there are more more spots available, or were you going to play harder when you knew there were fewer spots available? Let that sink in. Come on, Skip. That's the thing. I don't like it. I'm not going to sit here and say that I do like it. It's more NFL football, yada, yada, yada. No, I don't like it. I like the scarcity of it. I like teams knowing if we don't play our best, every game's matter. It's not like basketball, Skip. We got a spot sewn up and guys start resting. That's not how it is in the NFL. You have to play basically 14, 15 weeks. Who cares, Skip, if Lamar Jackson didn't play one game? Stop. It wasn't going to change anything anyway. Skip, if they had the number one seed sold up by week 17, you think they still not going to play their guys? Some teams are going to play their guys. Some teams are going to rest their guys. That extra playoff spot, I don't believe it's changing anything. Teams would have played harder knowing it was 6 as opposed to 7.
So, in a rarity here on Undisputed, you actually made a whole bunch of very good points about this. But after I slept on it, as much as I agree with many of your premises that you just made, I still barely like this new change, and I'll tell you why. Because I love the fact that there's now only one bye per conference. I love the fact that there's a supreme premium now put on winning the conference, because only one team on each side of the Super Bowl bracket will get a whole week off. And as you know from experience, the week off is flat out gold in the National Football League at that point in a season. It's a supreme advantage. And now, instead of two teams getting it and kind of watering that down, you've put the supreme premium on winning the conference and winning the bye week. So I like the fact that everybody's going to go hell-bent out to try to win the 1 week off that nobody else in the whole conference on your side of the bracket is going to get. So I really appreciate that. And again, I don't think that was the point of all this. It's actually just the sort of accidental result of all this. But I do love it. And yet I've always been with you. I didn't want to see my NFL playoffs watered down in any way, but I'll take this as an offset of the watering down to give this a slight edge to have only one bye week versus adding only one playoff team as a wild card. So Shannon, just for perspective, so everybody can grasp the overall context, that's your favorite word here on the show, of this. Okay, so now 14 of 32 NFL teams will make the playoffs. That's 44%. So let's look at the NBA. We both love the NBA. We're missing the NBA dearly right here, right now. They have 16 playoff teams out of only 30 overall teams. Well, that's 53% versus the 44 in the NFL, 53 to 44. So that's still advantage NFL. And then we look at the NHL. We don't talk about the NHL much here on Undisputed, but they have 16 teams out of 31 total. So they're actually 52%, which is just 1% lower than the NBA, 53 to 52. But still, the NHL at 52 is quite a bit higher than the 44% of the NFL. So I don't know, like it's come one, come all into the playoffs in the NFL yet. It's not quite as bad as the NBA first and the NHL second. Now, if you want to talk Major League Baseball, you got me, because there's still only 10 out of 30 teams. Well, that's way down at 33% of their teams. So only 10 of 30 can make the playoffs. And remember, if you go back to only 2012 and before, they had only 8 teams out of 30 making the playoffs, which was only 27%. So the premium on making the playoffs belongs to baseball way over football and basketball and hockey. So just on perspective, but I do appreciate the fact that there's only one bye week now.
Well, the thing, Skip, my first year, the year I was drafted was the year they changed it. They instituted to 6 teams because prior to that it was 5. And Skip, for me, is that well, then why even have a bye week? Why you need a bye week? NBA doesn't have a bye week. They got all their teams. It's 1 versus 8, yada, yada, yada. 2-7, 3-6, 4-5. Baseball say, so why do you need a bye week? What's the importance of the bye week? You want to get more teams in, why you need a bye week? You play football, right?
Okay, but help me out. Is it not great incentive to win your conference and get a week off?
Well, Skip, sometimes I really think it's overrated. It all depends on how well you're playing at the time. Now, I've been the number 1 seed twice. I've only advanced once. 96, we had the number 1 seed, 13-3. We lost in the divisional. 98, we had the number 1 seed. We are 14-2. We won it. But the other times that I won the Super Bowl, I went 3-0. We were wild cards. And think about this.
Okay.
Look at how did that work out for the Ravens last year?
Yeah. Well, remember, I criticized John Harbaugh right here on the show when he did it, but he didn't play his